Did you ever do any done for you or just skip straight to done with you?
Oh yeah, I did done for you. I still do done for you. I just didn't have confidence in myself back then. So we had started an agency. I should say my business partner and I started an agency. It was going well. We were getting people results. It was back before we really knew. We probably started too soon, but we were probably doing close to 10K a month as an agency back then. But we learned very quickly, like we weren't cut out for agency life of managing clients. We weren't leaders yet. We didn't know how to manage. And really it was like a painful experience that we ran away from it and did more of the done with you, more out of a personality, lack of maturity on our part of being able to, like, that probably could be a 7-figure business right now if we had kept with it. And I don't mean that like to say like, wow, we're so special. Like, it was just, there was that many people needed it. It was the hot thing at the time. And we chose the agency route and freaked out. And we ended up doing done with you, which made that's how we made our first probably $250,000 or 250K was doing the done with you side.
So for you as like a personality trait, done with you just felt a lot better because you were teaching people thing, enable them to do it. And their success was on them versus done for you, where that's a totally different culture. Is that right?
Yeah, it's a conundrum. I actually really like done for you. If I have good clients that don't want to talk to me, I love it. Yeah. Because I'm in control and I get to see the results and I love it. And I feel directly responsible. If it's X amount of people at a time and I don't want to, like, I think people listening will know, like, if you have a client that's just, it's way more than just done for you advertising. And you've talked about this a lot. Like, the next level is providing sales training, providing like business operations coaching, stuff that I just wasn't prepared for. And so I would just spend so much time on things that I wasn't good at and couldn't train them on. That became frustrating. Just getting people to follow up, classic stuff, right? It was just so it's kind of moved into what I do now, which is a morph of done for you into done with you. So the way I do things now is I onboard clients. So here's what I learned. I used to do done with you. Hey, I'll teach you. We'll set it up together. We'll do this. Okay. Here's what I learned. By week 2, hey man, so what do you think we'll get the ads up? Like, dude, we got to teach. Like, you still don't know anything. Like, you can barely open Business Manager without having a problem. Like, we're going to get through this. So I realized that, then by week 4, they're like, oh, so frustrated, so tired. And they didn't want it. So I was like, what do you really want? Well, you want your ads up and going now, and you want results, and then you want to learn it. Even though I don't think they really want to learn it, but I don't want to keep running it for them. So
you did the hybrid.
So I make it for them. I launch it because I know the proven offers that will work. I launch it, get them results. My whole thing is, if we don't get you your money back within the first month of this launching, I don't have to teach you anything, and we don't keep going.
So is that your crazy offer gamble? Crazy
offer gamble was, okay, so for this, I was going into a niche that didn't know much about advertising, which is I work with pelvic floor physical therapy clients. So that's a big thing I moved into.
Right? So that's PT as a whole. And then of the PT, you got specialization. So like, for example, dentists, you have implantologists, right? Or oral surgeons or general dentistry. Doctors, you got, family doctor, you got plastic surgeon, right? But for physical therapists, niche of a niche of a niche, pelvic floor therapists, right? Is that the right term? Okay, cool.
Yep. And for broader terms, just think of their physical therapists that are women's health specialists. So they work with all kinds of things. Like if you're having pain with sex, and they also work with men, but got some stories on advertising to men that don't go very well, of dick jokes in the comments and all kinds of stuff. So we separate that out. But so the thing is, it's a newer field, and a lot of them are newer business owners, and they're skeptical. And I was like, but I had one a couple of years ago that I did a test for. It was wild. It was the craziest thing I've ever seen in the ads for my world, where I was like, she was like, hey, I really want to hire you for ads, but I do pelvic floor stuff. And I was like, okay. She's like, would you be willing to test it? And I was like, yeah, I can't promise you results. I have no clue. We did it. We got leads for, I think, $2 a lead.
I remember seeing results in your profile.
That first go around, this was like 3 years ago. I think she made like 21 grand off of like $400 spent. It was just nuts. And I was like, gold mine. I remember it just didn't hit me though. I was like, that's really great. Good. And I was working on this other business, and idiot me, I just didn't focus on it. But then it came around, and we've got our other business kind of going steady. And I was like, okay, get all these PTs still like, hey, do you ever do done for you stuff? Because everyone's teaching done with you. And so there's this kind of new opportunity where it's like, nobody wants to do done for you. And I'm like, well, if you're a cool person, they're going to leave me the F alone, like, yeah, I'll do it for you. Like, I'm happy to do that. Can we set some expectations that you cannot talk to me very often?
Yes.
And they're like, yeah. And if they're like, well, I don't know. And I'm like, nope, we're done. Sorry. Like, here you go. Like,
Can we set expectations where you cannot talk to me very often?
like, it just drives me nuts, man. You know, you get these 9 p.m. Facebook messages like, hey, are the ads going? It's like, yes, they've been going. You're not going to get a lead every 4 minutes. It's cool. Like, you know, but anyways.
Well, let me call you at 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. You're like, no, that's okay. Thank you.
Yeah, I've got time to talk at 2 a.m. Can you do that, Bob? Are you gonna be able to make that call? You gonna be there?
Just, you know what? Just leave that like 15 voice messages in a row. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh man, the horror stories. But so it's a newer niche, and I had a little bit of I had 1 or 2 results that I'd done for it, and but I started to do the outbound stuff. I was going on LinkedIn, Facebook, like, hey, do you need more pelvic floor clients? And there's a huge resistance of like, oh, I don't think this will work for me. And I didn't have like overwhelming social proof. I had some results and I had some people. And so I said, well, but out of those 2, they both smashed it. And so what I said was, here's my deal. I'll spend $300 of my own money on ads. And if we don't get you, the program at the time, I think was $2,000, like $2,000. If I can't get you $2,000 with the $300 of my own ad spend to bring you clients, you don't have to pay anything. Over 85% of people that took me up on that, they made way more than $2,000, and they paid for me to then keep setting that up for them.
So to keep it going. That's interesting. So now, all right, let me take a couple steps back. So you have your done with you. Engaging conversations. Somebody's like, hey, can I pay you to do this? I do pelvic floor. You're like, I'm not really sure, but fine. You do your normal research. It goes amazing. And your brain goes, hey, maybe this could work.
And I needed case studies.
That's the thing I needed. You need more experience. Let's just say that. Right? Sure. Just more experience. So now you're going, let me go find people who want this. Nobody is saying yes. And you're like, you know what? Let's just go all in. I'm going to pay $300. If you don't make $2,000 from this, we're done. But if you do, you need to, you should enroll. How did you like handle that conversation?
Yeah, I said, I set the expectation. I said, hey, if, so first thing is just like anybody else, hey, what's a new patient worth for you, or new client worth to you? And on average, a lot of these, what's really cool about this niche is a lot of people expect to pay cash. They don't expect insurance to cover it. So they don't have to like, so their value tends to go up on the front end, right? With insurance, maybe it'd be more on the long-term, and we don't have to get into healthcare world. But the, it's at least $1,000. So I was like, cool, if I can get you at least 2 new patients, 3 new patients from this, will you then be sold on the program? And if we agree that I can do that for you, you will sign up for the program, and I'll install this into your business, the thing that just brought you this much money. I'll install it in your business. I'll coach you how to keep it going. How does that sound? If you can get me 3 patients, yeah, I'm in. And I would say, great, we're going to track that. Here's what you have to do. I knew how to onboard them really fast. And I knew they didn't care about learning anything yet until it was making them money. And so now I don't have to do that now because I've got the results, but I did this for about 15 people. And here's the thing I thought about. I was thinking, well, what would I be willing to pay to acquire a customer? And I was like, honestly, to start out, probably even $500 I'd be willing to do for like, to acquire a $2,000 customer to start. Like, I'm just getting into this. Obviously we talked about pricing, and I probably should have priced more, but I was just kind of winging it. And I was like, well, cool. How long is it going to take me to set this up? 2 hours. Okay. $100 an hour. If I just measure out, like, what am I willing to pay myself? And then it's $300 left to spend. I was like, cool. Well, rather than me spending on ads, hoping people will come, why don't I just go directly and tell them I'll spend money for them and see if I can acquire them that way? But I was really confident in my ability to produce results. Yeah. I wasn't guaranteed, but I was like, it's just smashed it 2 out of 2 times, like to the nth degree. I was like, let's, and I figured, at worst I'll spend $1,000 and learn like, it's 50-50 or it's hit or miss. And then it's like, okay, great. We validate that.
So that line of thinking requires a lot of like testicular fortitude. Is that like the right term? Like balls of steel. Like you as an agency are saying, I'm willing to bet my own money that I can make this work. And you as a business have to agree to buy it if it works and if I prove that it works. And if I understand correctly, you figured out how much it would have cost or even happy with. And said, instead of paying Facebook that money or paying LinkedIn money, I'm going to pay my customer to do it. or like advertise on their behalf. So you effectively wrote your customer a check to become your customer. Is that right?
I was writing a check on their behalf.
Yeah.
To run ads that would bring them results, because I knew all they cared about was getting results.
That's
and
it.
I thought, okay, I can either sit there on a demo deck with them for a while, or I could just and try to help them see the value, commit themselves, or I can say, look. So here's to be honest, if anyone's out there listening, this all came from I was reading Alex Hormozi's $100 million offer book, and he has the value formula, which is, I can't remember, perceived likelihood of achieving the thing and the size of the outcome divided by speed and difficulty.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, what's the hardest part for them? That's either giving up money or doing the tech stuff. Like, those are always the hardest things for them, right? And it takes forever to do the tech, and they don't want to spend money. It's like, cool. Or they don't want to spend money they're not certain about, I should say.
Yeah.
They don't want to spend money they're not certain about. And then I was like, how do I eliminate those? Well, I do it for them, and I spend the money for them to start. And I was just like, the coolest thing was, I had so many messages goes, I'd be so dumb to say no to that.
Yep.
And I was just like, yeah, like you would. I was like, I'd rather take my chances on myself than on Facebook ads to that demo. And part of it was out of there just are so few that I knew that targeting on Facebook it would happen over time. But relative to like the amount of physical therapists, it's a small group. So I was like, there's got to be a better way. So I would just literally go on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. I had a network of some people, and I'd be like, hey, look, if you know anybody in this space, like, I'm offering to pay 300 of my own bucks to bring you leads, improve this, and then I'll tell you about my program. Yeah. I'd get the ones that raise their hand. I'd talk to them, tell them what's going on. There were maybe a few people who were like, I don't know. I still don't know. I was like, cool, you're not my person. Like, great. Yeah. But for everybody else, it was great. And the only ones the interesting thing was, it's a gamble, because we're talking with a lot of newer business owners, and sales is still a struggle.
Yep.
So, I figured I did lose a few people, and I don't think it was because the leads were flowing through. It was, there's a downfall in the follow-up in the sales conversations, which, it was cool. It was a good experience. I learned my real person is somebody who's already seeing like 10 patients. They're already like, yeah, I'm selling. And it's like, okay, cool. So that's how we did it. And I just feel like, I felt like I totally removed competition. Not that I'm a total abundance mindset guy, but when other people are like, yeah, join our program and we'll do this. And I was like, just let me spend money for you. Like, let me do this for you. Let me get you some results. Pay me with the money I make you. This was my argument. Can you, and Alex Hormozi talks about this, of gym launch is based on people paying for the program out of what they do in the first like 30 to 60 days together or something like that. And I was like, all right, Alex, I'm just going to do whatever you say.
It's interesting because everything you're mentioning is part of like my new relationship with my agency, which is I want to do less. I want to pitch less. I don't want to oversell. Now my sales calls are like 15 minutes. Yeah. And it's like, this is what we do. This is how much we charge. Let's get out of the way real fast. Let's boogie. And those have been my happiest client conversations. I'm not trying to convert somebody who's thinking about it into buying it. I'm converting somebody who's already buying into buying my stuff. Yep. And the price point, product market fit, it's an easy yes. And what I really like what you said is by the way, I'm willing to spend $500 to $700 to get a client. Why don't I just give it to them instead?